Are you tired of losing games that you just should have won? Well, in this video, we're going to be breaking down defensive strategies and tactics that are going to help you play against some of the best players in the world. It's all about your hands and not about your mind, because in this video, you'll understand what's going on in your mind. Guys, welcome in. My name is John. I'm a professional FC coach, and we are going to be breaking down some defensive structure today as we go through and analyze some of my gameplay. On top of that, let's go ahead and get right on in to the video.
But if you want an even easier way, check out lootbar.gg. They have the lowest prices, fastest delivery, while being 10% cheaper than any other platform and trusted by big names like Pro Owns and Zorky. You also have insanely good reviews on Trustpilot. Get 10% off with my code John Sims at checkout.
All right, let's do it. Here we go, guys. Welcome in. If you guys haven't been here before, let's get to it. Okay, so I actually went through and scrubbed this down a little bit early. If you guys want my training guide and plan, just let me know below if you guys are interested. But basically, I'm going to show you guys some defensive structure and formation stuff and like some general concepts of like how you should be actually attacking and approaching this play. And so like in this scenario, these are kind of the highlights of what we're going to be stepping through. So first off, we really have to understand what is defensive structure and like what is the main focus. Now, some people may think that this is like a general and simple concept, and it can be, but what really matters is just the foundation, your fundamentals, and like your understanding of where these players need to be. In FC 26, it's really hard to manage your players. So let's step into it. So the first thing you're going to want to understand is that we need to manage natural structured formation. And what I mean by that is it's more of like if you're in like a 4-2 position, it's more of like a trapezoid, right? Now, if you're in like a 4-3, it's a little bit extraneous. So it's like a 4-1-2-1-2 type of defense. You're going to look more like this per se. And then, you know, as those different formations. So like a 4-4-2 is a little bit flatter, right? But ultimately, it doesn't matter. What really ultimately matters is that you're in at least something like this, a 4-2 structure. So what I really care about is your back line is intact and formation and in structure while your central players are coming into this interior position. And all that means is these guys are going into this zone while your structure is being balanced and is actually getting tighter and tighter. The wider and wider you are, the more open the space can be. So we don't always want to approach the opponent. And so that's where we get into some of this efficiency work. So this is kind of a general concept of just where we're going to set up and guide you through some of the defensive structure today. So this is Elite gameplay, and we're one of the only 100 players in Elite right now. So everybody we're playing is going to be actually a little bit insane. So you can see how we're kind of eliminating this space here. And as I eliminate that space, what you end up seeing is me shifting over. Now, this is what I call multiplayer switching. And so now what I'm doing is I'm defending actually this run here by defending this zone. And if you don't see that, you need to upgrade your skill base, because it's very simple. If I defend this position, then he's not going to make that pass. Now, this is going to be a really hard pass. And if anything, he should probably go for it. So he ends up trying to look for a pass that is going to cut back here. And so then we see him manage that structure. Now, what I want to understand, what you understand, guys, is the AI is terrible in defense this year. It's so bad that you have to do so much work defensively to manage this at a very, very high level. And that's why you're probably getting scored on 6, 7, 8, 9 goals a game. This is why. So right here, if you look at this, what I'm seeing here is, look at Crystal Dunn. Look at her doing nothing. She's literally just, I'm just gonna hang out, just be cool, be pretty cool over here, right? Nothing, right? Boom. Guess what? I need structure, so I'm managing it with Rafinha now. I'm forced to use a center or a winger while Crystal Dunn has no aggressiveness towards this position. Now in FC 25. Where do you think Crystal Dunn would be? She would actually be starting to try and track into this position, which would significantly up our ability. Now, if you have a CDM, they will track into this better. So that's the value of playing with like a what's like the 4-2-3-1 with the 2, right? Yeah. So that's where like playing with something like that is going to be better than playing with like what I'm playing with is like the, what is it? The 4, it looks like a 4-2-3-1. I always mess this. It's like a 4-1-4-1. It's not 4-1-4-1. It's like a 4-4 1-1 with the cam. That's technically why I'm playing, I guess. So anyways, that's what it's going to be. And so that's where, like, look at done. Still not moving. So what do I have to do? I'm forced to manage this. I'm forced to manage this now with Sissi. And so I end up getting that one-on-one shoulder position. But what I've done is I've created a trap that's going to be really hard for me to break out of. And then we just use a standard position. So that whole time, I am actually not trying to necessarily defend Thierry Henry. I'm actually trying to defend this backside. And so what I want in this clip here, what I wanted to explain is that when we're managing structure, we have to be able to utilize cams and wingers to be able to manage the space, because if I had not pulled Rafinha in, guess what happens? I would have to be tracking right here. And by the time I track there, he's in a very dangerous position. This is a potential through ball. Then guess what happens? I'm no longer able to end up pulling this player down. I end up having to actually defend with Marquinhos here instead, and I have to manage this one-on-one and try to defend it like this, and then Crystal Dunn gets pulled out of the play regardless. So with her being out, I'd rather just go ahead and pull those players in, and that's what we end up doing in this clip. So that's unfortunate. That's going to be the first clip for us. Let's move on to a different place. This is what I call a break point. And if you don't know what a breakpoint is, this is my understanding of like transition. So I had somebody say, well, John, that's just a transitional play. Yes, it's not necessarily. So transitions are a point when, you win the ball and then you're going all the way to the other side. It's like a counterattack, right? Now, a transition, however, there's like a point. Like there's a moment, there's like a specific moment to specific moment where either there's going to be pressure in the play, or what's going to happen is it's going to be broken. And so then there's a point where it breaks, and then like it's an automatic possession, right? So there's a chance to win the ball back, and then once it breaks that moment, it opens up. And if you don't understand that, let me explain it here. So basically what's going to happen is when we win the ball, right, that is the moment where a transition essentially occurs. So like right here, that's technically a break point. I had an opportunity, and so now I have complete, full, and open possession. But once this play gets into this zone, now somehow the ball gets in a bad spot. Maybe I made a bad pass. I'm not going to analyze that right now. But now it creates what we call another transition point, and this is a break, right? And so can I win the ball back right here? Potentially, right? What if I got to what if I was able to switch to De Jong really quick and was able to like slide right here? Maybe, right? Boom. So I'm going to try to go for that. That's an opportunity. However, what I want to recognize is there's a huge mistake. There's a huge gap that is opened by doing this and by having this wide. By playing it too early, where's my right back? This is my right back. So Hakimi somehow got really far forward. I didn't recognize it. And so now we have an open runner on the backside that I have to defend. So what do? Do I step towards the player? Do I step towards the run? This is where you get caught in what I call no man's land. And this is where you actually have to step backwards and defend backwards, right? A lot of players, what they do is they take this moment, and what they're going to do is they're going to try to take a stab right at the ball. And instead, what happens is if you stab at this side of the play, well, then he can pass it this way, right? So if you stab on the front side of the play, now he can pass it backwards. So regardless, what you need to do is actually first, you need to at least make a play at the ball this way if you are going to make a play at the ball. You can't step on this side because that just opens it up for an obvious play. And at this level, if you give this position open, you're pretty much toast. Let me tell you, this is like my favorite position to be in as an attacker. So you're pretty much done. So you guys should understand that. But right here, boom. So what I want you to understand is now we go into a different zone. And so what did we talk about earlier? We talked about creating structure and managing that. And that's what we're trying to see with this red, right? So what I call is like this pyramid. We're basically trying to build a pyramid, and we're going to try to force the play one way out of this pyramid, either left or right. So this is essentially what we're building now. So now if you look at this, you can be cheeky. Just remember, you don't need your right center back at your right center back spot all the time. You don't need your left center back at the left center back all the time. You can be cheeky. Use the momentum of the players. This is probably the best tip to maximize your efficiency in gameplay, is use the efficiency of your momentum of your players. This is the best tip possible. This is what separates the best players from the best players. This is how you win games and how you lose games, and it's right here. It's very simple. So if you see Alexandro, he has the jockey plus, right? But where's his momentum? His momentum's taking him this way. So realistically, the player should be defending actually anybody that he should be defending this run, right? So this is actually, in my mind, I'm seeing Alexandro being able to defend this run. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm actually seeing Nuno Mendes being able to defend in an interior position. And then if it gets to a position, he might get over there. But he's not lengthy, so I don't think he's going to be able to get to that far side. So we're going to see him right there. Now, Marquinhos, though, he's going to be able to defend an early position right here. And then he's also going to be able to defend a far position. So I will swap these players in the utilizing momentum depending on the play. You want to try to maximize your momentum as a defender all the time. You do not want to slow your players down. You want to just you just want to like guide the opponent to creating a mistake, because guys, at the best level, this game is not about you being better than your opponent. It's just about not making as many dumb mistakes. And trust me, we make dumb mistakes. Once you get to the top 1%, then that's when efficiency, skill moves, and like being mindfully creative actually create a volume. So right here, if you can see this, now we're actually going to manage that momentum. And as you can see, we rotate with Marquinhos and we manage the interior position with Alexandro. And what that does is it forces a perfect defensive structure to avoid this zone behind. And so now we have this entire space that has been built. However, what's happening is where we've built this wall right through here, right? But that opens up the back rotation. And so we got to be ready for that. And then that's where I actually am ready and prepping with Alexandro as I see the rotation. So as you can see his rotational play, you can see that step right into that space, and then that's when we win the ball. Now, did he make the wrong pass by making that pass right there? No, not necessarily. But how could he have improved this position against my defense? Is simply ball roll, scoop, and then hold the play here, and then potentially rotate here, and then potentially rotate here. However, then my play would shift further. So this is an example of when you play at the highest level, guys, you're not playing like the chances that like, again, this is like one of the top 100 players in my league, and he made a very early decision. But to get better than this, which, you know, I've been up there, and when you get better than this, it's not like you don't just stop at like the third decision. This is like the third opportunity this is like the third decision he gets. It's what I call a static play. So it's like right here, he gets lucky. Boom, there's one. So here's one step that he has to make a decision. Okay, so he chooses not to make that initial pass. So that's like number one. That's like decision process number one. So number two, now I'm showing him like a defensive structure in decision process number two. So now he's in defensive decision process number two, which that is going to open up a rotational play. As he rotates, now he's in a position where he has to consider, okay, where is he going to go with this ball now? And that's actually going to be the touch he takes. So his touch is taking, because now he's in the box, his touch has to be very, very precise. This is his third decision. And this is where the faster the decision, the harder it is to make mistake, or the easier it is to make mistakes. And that's what you're seeing here. So he takes a touch, but his touch needs to actually be a dummy play into this position to open up potentially a pass and maybe a shot. But his touch was too short, and so he actually ends up touching straight, and that creates a poor decision. So you know where he was trying to go. What he was trying to do, his skill wasn't there to create it. So that's where, you know, that creates a counterattack, and then I think we go on and potentially score the next no, we don't. Oh, no, we do. Yeah, we definitely did score. So this is where, you know, when you go forward, this is the difference between playing good defense and bad defense. Is right here, I get him to step, and then it's very simple, right? Once that fullback breaks, then boom, we just wait just a half a second to pull that second defender, and then we just go straight through. So the good defense, so I'm trying to show you good stuff and bad stuff. So poor defense here. So boom, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to lock him into a position right here. I'm trying to get him to commit here early and open up space. So boom, there it is. There's that skill move into him and then out. And so that's the whole point. So a lot of the times, guys, what you'll see pros do is we do skill moves into players, and then we completely avoid that moment, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you to commit. The more you commit, guys, the easier it is. Boom. So he commits. He thinks I'm gonna make a pass. So what was the step number one? So decision number one was right there. Decision number two, not to make the pass. That's number two. And then through ball, do I pass it here or do I pass it here? I was just waiting to see what happens. De Jong split off, so I didn't like that pass. So we go over here. So that's decision number three. Now we're in decision process number four, which is, do I take this angle or do I try a wing around the edge? And then we just take that nice little curve. So that's four. And then do I make this pass or do I take the shot? And then it's just simple. So angle is just five. So realistically, there's like a 5 decision point process there. And you have to be able to get up to like 7, 8, 9, 10 if you really want to compete at the highest level. So that's just an example of like decision making as we continue. So I do skip another one of my goals, but now we're going to get into a little bit of more defensive structure here. So boom, this is a break point. This is a broken break point structure. So what would ideal structure look like? Kind of like this. This is the ideal structure. And what we're looking to really do in this position is actually force the play out wide. That's what we're looking to do. So boom. But what's the problem? I don't have enough time to mark Thierry Henry. I don't have enough time. Now, what I could have potentially done is what I call double R1. And that's actually what I'm going to try to do here. And I actually make a small mistake. And this is how I correct it. So what I was actually wanting to do is click double R1 while tracking back with this. So then Marquinhos would be here. And then this would be tracking right here. And then this would be tracking here. So Marquinhos would stay flat, Alexandro would mark, and then Nuno would mark while I'm creating passive pressure from behind. However, that ends up creating space. So now I have to do my little trick again, and I manage the momentum again with Alexandro as he's going to open up and shield that wall. Now we're going to try to do everything we can to avoid this cutback. This is where the possibilities of him scoring go up significantly if he can get to this backside of my shoulder. So what I'm thinking here now is I need to get into a defensive step. Now, I should not commit here. This is a bad decision by me, is I overstep right there, and that opens up a defensive zone. However, what I wanted to show you is this is a really good player. This isn't like a, just some casual player. Now, he should have gone far post, but he's thinking I'm going to defend the far post, so he's going to go near post. So I ended up actually shifting. You see, we ended up shifting down to defend the edge, so defend the near post. This is where in FC 25, there's zero chance of him scoring here, but in FC 26, he could still win it. I make a really bad step here. I should not have done this. What I should have done is I should have come in and faked and then stepped back and then had an overtake on the left back and have the left back go all the way in if he misses and then build my what I call a diamond defense, which we'll get into here in a second. So we end up managing that position and getting out of it in a fairly, I wouldn't say necessarily it just puts us into a bad spot, but we still manage the structure. So here comes the counterattack, and then right here, boom, very simple, and I try to rip that pass. No. So now we're in another break point. So break point transition. Now he's in the counterattack. Boom, one. And now he's got all this time and space. We got to defend this. So we're coming into this zone. Boom, there it is. This is what the play is going to look like. This is where we want him to go. We want him to go up. We want him to go up while we're defending this interior position. And that's what we're going to do. Boom, there's the double mark. Unfortunately, I did not get the right mark here with Sissi. I want it done here, so I'm going to manage this space. So now I'm going to manage this properly. We're doing this fantastic. I see there's nobody in this space. I do understand that this player is going to come into the zone, so we do continue to manage that mark. And so, but I'm going to defend the pass. I'm overstepping this whole decision, so I'm reading this entire moment, and it just goes right away from me. So this is such micro mechanics here. It looks like it was probably a it's like a Rafa Leao barely gets this pass through. Micro mechanics to win this. He gets in a tough spot. I'm like, wait a second. So if you go back through this decision making, now I have to defend with a one-on-one against two players with Nuno Mendes looking like he's going to shift out versus in. So I'm going to try to defend that space. I don't hit tackle. I'm in the right spot though. Look at this. I'm in the right spot to win that ball. I should have. I tackled. There's no animation. Look at Alexandro. He animates poor tackle animation. If this was anticipate plus or a quick step player, this would have been a tackle. It does not go, and then he ends up getting a goal. And so, is this deserved? Is this worth because I want to show how many decision making is it and how much was this RNG variable. So poor pass, poor moment from me. And so he wins the ball into a compromising position. This gives him a counterattack position. Very possible. One, that's the first decision. Play it to the front side. That's one decision. Now he's in the second position. So now he plays it right back to mark that zone. So that's a position. That's pass number 2. Now does he play it to the front? Well, he definitely should not, because I am double marking that. So his decision number 3 should have been actually incorrect. So he makes an incorrect decision that happens to be micro-mechanically correct, right? So he did the wrong thing and he still got through, and that's okay. But that happens all the time. So boom. So now he's on decision number 3. But even with a mistake, I should still be able to potentially win this zone. So now he has to make the decision. Does he pass or does he hold? So that's number 4. And this is his problem. That's where he made the correct decision. So he makes a correct decision to hold, but he probably should have passed. But I would have stepped through there in that scenario and won that. So I put myself in a position that was able to get a really tight zone. So to get a goal against my defense, that's the type of look that you needed to create. And it was Henry against 1800, 15K card. So it is what it is. If I have Anticipate Plus, if I have a Quick Step, if I had Quick Step, the tiny mechanical moment would not have occurred. I would have had the RNG variables to tackle. So that's unfortunate, but that happens. And also with Marquinhos, the pass, it should have been broken. So anyways, it is part of the game. And so those are those moments. Just be aware of that if you understand the game. But okay, so now we're in a dangerous spot. I lose the ball again. Something I want to denounce is is that our CDMs are way up, way up. And so we're just in the wrong spot. So we have to defend and track with these attackers. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So we defend with these attackers. We're going to force a play wide. This is a perfect level of defense. I'm still defending. This example is all about managing when your center mids are forward, and you'll watch pro after pro after pro. Watch Anders. Anders does this all the time. If you guys watch my video analysis of Anders playing Yilmaz, you'll notice I talk about him doing this with Mbappe. Now we're going to apply a passive pressure on the backside, and then we force him into a bad spot, utilizing an attacker. That's all we do. And then I think, do we get into a goal here? I don't. I should have nutmegged. Okay, so now I do in a slide. So now we're in another breakpoint position. Here it comes again. So now we're coming down the space, and this is actually a little bit of a set play. There's not a lot of space. There's the timing for me to do this is relatively good, so I can take a good shot at this. Now, given the time and the score, I shouldn't really need to do this. So I take a step, and I really should not have with the cam, right? I'm expecting him to go back, but we have to manage this. So if you do make a mistake, this is why I wanted to show this, is we aren't perfect, and sometimes we can be really dumb. This is a really dumb move by me, right? We do dumb stuff all the time. Guys, I'm still in the top 100 players in North America, and where I'm doing this dumb stuff. I see pros do this all the time in the Pro Tour. The top 5 players in the world, they still make these mistakes. And if you watch my video against Anders and Tex makes this exact mistake against Anders, and Anders just destroys him with it. But here's how to manage it and structure it. So that's why I wanted to show this if you guys did watch that stuff. So we make a mistake, but now we need to manage and defend based off of this zone, and we just need to get the ball wide. That's the whole point. Get this ball wide and manage that zone. So now we're going to try to build what I call my diamond defense. Right now it's kind of an arrow, but it's going to shape out into like this diamond essentially, and that's what we're going to look for. So the structure of a diamond here, okay? So that's what we're doing. We're going to utilize that mark. If you look at this, we're utilizing that R1 mark very slightly, and that's what's going to be the mastery here, is to manage that zone and look at that defense. And now it's in that tight structure. He can't get into that space. I'm actually defending that zone right there just because of that zone. I want to get around that space. So boom, and then we just defend all angles by utilizing that space. So he needed like 3-4 more decisions he needed to create to be able to beat that defense. And that's all you really need, really, in this game to be one of the best players in the world, is being able to defend 5, 6, 7 chances. And that's where you can really get to it. So here's another break point. We lose the ball in a transition. Ball's coming into the zone. So this is the ideal structure, getting done in and then utilizing this cross center back movement to manage momentum. So boom, there we go. Now what we're going to try to show, this is an example of a mistake. That's most likely going to happen, and another analysis. But here's the thing. Okay, so boom, we get to the space. So what I'm trying to do now is I need to get Marquinhos on the inside and allow Henry. I need the Henry play to go this way, right? I cannot allow this play to go directly down the middle. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take Marquinhos. I'm expecting that run to come in. It looks like it goes. You can see I actually stepped inside and my timing was slightly off. I don't have quick step on Marquinhos. Had I had quick step on Marquinhos, had I had Koundé here, boom, guess what? This little move right here, I would be just right there. I'd be right there instead. And if I'm right there instead, I'm able to cut in front of him, and that's the change and difference. So these are tiny, tiny details. No quick step. That's against an Henry, against a Marquinhos. It is what it is, right? But guys, in this video, I wanted to show you guys proper structure, improper structure, and some of those micro mechanics to help you guys improve. For the rest of this match, we pretty much just crush him. He doesn't get another chance at goal. But this is an example of how to eliminate bad mechanics and improve your game. So if I invest into better players, do you think he would have made those mistakes, or he would have even scored on me? Let me know below. Until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Deuces.